It's been a balmy mid-60-degree day in Kansas City, and we have real, actual NFL news leading the 24-hour news cycle. It feels like it's just about springtime. It feels like we're just about to the combine. And it feels like it's just about time to make Seth Keysor share a very public opinion very strongly during a podcast. God, I love this time of the year!
I have no idea what today's about to bring. I wonder if any Super Bowl champion has ever benched their left tackle in 2 different games in the same season.
Everywhere. Lights, come on. I need to see it, Omar.
Someone is getting snapped.
Show it.
Jazz and I have been married for 17 years.
So, Nate, what do you think about...
I kind of want to get right into it today, fellas. We're at full strength. Joshua Brisco, Seth Keysor, and Nate Taylor all with you here. The day after, we've got a little bit of that NFL news as teams like particularly the Miami Dolphins are out here balancing their books as they work through the teardown phase of the rebuild. I'm not sure we're going to see them getting any taller in the next season or two, but that's what it takes when you miss in an iteration of your football team. Then yesterday, they part ways with Bradley Chubb and I believe it's pronounced Tyreek Hill. Very fast little guy. I don't know. Can't remember what he did a lot of in Miami. Tua Tagovailoa made him kind of unwatchable. But it does seem like he had an act before that we should discuss. How you guys feeling? Seth, I'm guessing it's not 65 degrees in Minnesota yet.
The forecast calls for anywhere between 5 to 12 inches in the next 12 hours of snow.
Oh,
for us.
I was gonna
ask. Golly, that face.
I was gonna ask of what? And you answered snow.
Yes.
Could have been rain. Could have been.
Man, 5 to 12 inches of rain. That would be like, I'd be like putting up sandbags around my house. So February, it's actually been beautiful here. It's been above 32, like 4 days in a row as a high. And it's only gotten down to like the teens or 20s as a low. And I was just starting to, how do you say it? Find hope again that
good.
That there might be some relief from this terrible existence. And now snow's coming.
Yeah,
but it's fine because look at these pipes. I mean, honestly, guys,
it's easy to heat your whole house when you're just on like a giant hamster wheel powering that's where your power grid. You know, you can do solar. You're just running on a treadmill powering the whole heating bill.
I'm so cold at 200 pounds, guys. I'm so cold. Like, apparently 38 pounds of fat really helps keep you warm. Like, they should sell fat coats.
Let's take a break. Nope, it's too early. Sorry. Okay, Nate. Hey, Nate, how are you doing? You can say more or less than Seth did. Either way would be good, actually.
Yeah, I'll try to say less for the audience.
Appreciate it.
I'm doing fine. Sorry about the snow, Seth. Yeah, great to be here. Oh, you wanted me to talk about Tyreek Hill. That's right.
I don't care. Seth's gone. Seth has muted himself and left his box.
All right. So, for everyone who understands that Seth, we forced Seth to do work because of the Miami Dolphins, who have started to. They're the first NFL team this offseason. I think we should make that point too. They're the first real team to say, "Oops, that didn't work. Let's start clearing cap space." Both players are coming off injury, of course, Bradley Chubb and Tyreek Hill. This is their most significant injuries. We do not know what the team's going to do with Tua Tagovailoa. I imagine they'll do some measure to get his cap hit to come down because his contract was terrible at signing.
The day he signed it.
Yeah, the day he signed it, it was a bad contract. And he doesn't appear to be in their future in terms of big picture. Who knows what's going to happen in 2026. And I think for me, it was fascinating with a new general manager / president, new head coach, them making this move essentially a week before the combine, right? So yesterday was Monday. We will be in Indianapolis less than a week from now. We'll be, everybody will be in Indianapolis on Monday or Tuesday. It was, I think, surprising to me that there were so many people that were most eager and willing and wanted to have legitimate conversations about Tyreek Hill making a return to Kansas City. And I do have some thoughts on that and a little bit of analysis. But I think that was really interesting that former players, current players, whether you are a traditionalist in terms of the fan base or you're a progressive when it comes to like what you want the team to do, after the most disappointing season in Patrick Mahomes' career, everyone in those categories was talking about Tyreek Hill. And that is a testament to how good he was before he played for the Miami Dolphins, right? And at the same time, I don't know what it says about the state of the Chiefs. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing that the moment Tyreek Hill is released coming off a gruesome knee injury, everybody's just ready to talk about him again. I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign, but it is somewhat fascinating that we haven't even gotten to like what I would deem legitimate free agency, which will start next Monday.
I think it's a really good angle to start with there, Nate. So let's just cannonball in from there. I think that if it's a good or bad thing to be talking about Tyreek Hill in February of 2026, it really depends on what the Chiefs think about what a reunion would look like, and what they would be asking for from Tyreek Hill on this team again. There are also enormous hurdles before that point. Like, I'll just mention this off the top, and then we're gonna have to just kind of figure out how to navigate it because this is the unknown. He said on a Twitch stream like a day or two ago that he's still going to have another surgery for his LCL. The last time we saw Tyreek Hill on a football field, he was being carted off after one of the more gruesome injuries we saw last season. It was early enough to kind of forget and to have some other gruesome injuries that followed after, but it was one of those things where instantly you go, okay, well, this either Tyreek Hill is never going to play football again, or we're going to rely on the incredibly advanced field of orthopedic surgery that we can now restore what some time ago would have just been like an amputation and start over. Like it was a grisly injury, and I expect that Tyreek Hill will make every effort to play again, but that's no like sure thing. So, with another surgery still to come, I mean, it's, again, there are a lot of hurdles to clear, even though I do want to talk with Seth about what he looked like before the injury in Miami. I can't imagine, Nate, that we're going to get Tyreek Hill news soon. It's hard for me to imagine a team giving him guaranteed money before he's had the final surgery of his last injury. Does that seem right to you?
Correct. Yeah. My assumption, my best guess is that if you're Tyreek Hill and his representation, you would want a significant update by April, right? Whether that's pre-draft, during the draft, so that you have some idea, again, in terms of like where teams are in terms of their own cap space situation, what they're going to do in the draft, what is possible in the draft, and then where you might fit, who's the best situation for you as a player. Of course, by April, the Chiefs will have, we think, plenty of cap space based on the number of moves that they can do versus right now where they don't have to make any moves because the new league year has not started, and it won't start for at least 3 weeks basically. With everything going on, Tyreek Hill did make it clear through his Instagram post yesterday saying that he is ready. He does expect to be playing football in the NFL in 2026. Now, he didn't give necessarily a timetable as to like, hey, are you going to be ready by training camp? Is this more going to be a situation where you ease into things in October? We don't know. If he does indeed have another procedure to repair the LCL, one has to believe that'll come up within the next month. And at that point, you could have a decent outlook on the recovery of that procedure on top of what you've already had back in, I guess, October, so that you can give a legitimate update. Again, by April, here's how things are going. Here's how we can project things moving forward. And I guess from a Chiefs standpoint, I know we're going to get to Seth here in a second. From a Chiefs standpoint, I do appreciate the comment, if I can find it again, about it's from Mason Wright. Do you think the Chiefs bring Tyreek in to mentor Rashee Rice? Quote, match made in heaven. It would certainly be a compelling storyline for next season if that is to occur. I mean, that's your words, Mason, that it's a match made in heaven. I don't know if that's both literal or ironic, but I do understand that, like, what I can say to the audience is there is some level of like conversation. So this isn't just like an us or, fans talking about it, in person or on the internet. Like, there is got to be some sizable conversation because he is a free agent. He does know everybody. In terms of like prominent figures, and whether you're willing to take him on, that's a question in and of itself. I would just like to inform everyone that you may think it's easy for the Chiefs to just, snap two fingers and bring Tyreek Hill back. It's way more complex than I think most fans realize, but it is understandable why you would want to talk about him, given not only what the team needs are at the receiver position, but also what he could potentially do, on a, let's say, team-friendly deal. But again, there's a lot of steps between everyone just giving the Chiefs maybe the inside track to attract him for a return before you actually have to figure out all the mechanisms to do that.
So, Seth, I think a lot of the cons, as you did pros and cons up in the Chief of the North newsletter, you want to read it, it's there for you now. I think a lot of the cons end up becoming relatively obvious follow-up questions to the pros. So I'd like for you to start on the pros side here, not because cons don't exist, but because I've got a few that I want to run by you guys. But when you went back and looked at the film, I just need the audience to just come with us on this. We already talked about it. We all saw Tyreek Hill get hurt, and we all know there's still surgery coming. So when Seth talks about what he did before the injury, we all know that the recovery process is still an unknown. But Seth, with that out in front, what did you see from Tyreek Hill in 2025 before the injury? Because I was not watching a lot of that Miami Dolphins offense before he got hurt.
I'm in a position to where I've reviewed a lot of Tyreek Hill's film over his career. By the time, he got a huge role in the Chiefs offense, I was still at SB Nation. And then, as he blew up into a superstar, moved to The Athletic and got to meet, we got to start this wonderful podcast in its first form.
You became a superstar.
Yeah, sure. Something like that. And so I've watched Tyreek Hill a lot on All 22. And one thing that I've said is you never need to know Tyreek Hill's number. You never need to know, so some guys oh man, it can be the worst with wide receivers sometimes. Like if they wear the same socks and you're just like, uh-oh, guys that are built similarly, you never need it to, especially with smaller guys. But even with Hill being built thicker than most smaller guys, you can kind of pick him on the line of scrimmage that way, but you never needed it. Because as soon as the ball was snapped and he started running, no one moves like him. He really looks like you found a way to have everyone else be at normal speed, and you cranked him alone to 1.1x, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is if the 1.1x player that you hit was, whoever the second fastest / quickest guy in the league is.
Right.
It was freakish. The only two people more fun. There's three people. Man, there's some great Chiefs players to watch on All 22. Mahomes is more fun to watch on All 22. Kelsey's not even, and Kelsey's incredible. Jamal Charles was. The list is short. Eric Berry at his peak was, but you know what? I'm gonna sidetrack myself. Eric Berry, because it would be like across the field, and he'd close like a Scud missile, and then arrive like he weighs 300 pounds, even though he's built like he weighs 200. It was genuinely weird. So anyway,
oh, man, I want you to review the Caleb Downs tape and just see if we can get you. Just see if your eyes glimmer. I'm just curious.
Maybe Spags could play him in the slot.
Well,
Technically, Spags could play him just about anywhere.
It sounds like that guy could play anywhere. It's like your own. It's like,
Seth,
oh look, we've got our own Kyle Hamilton at home. You know,
Seth. I'm just saying. he's my crush.
I am excited to watch his film. So here's the thing with Hill. I took a long road to a short thought there. All it took was one snap on all 22. It's like, oh, okay. He moves the exact same way. It's freakish. The speed, the agility, the change of direction. But it's also, and this is where I try to really let people know, Hill put in a lot of work to become a great wide receiver. Because being fast isn't enough, being quick isn't enough, being fast and quick and strong. He's able to run through contact on his routes.
Yep.
But all those things, they don't matter nearly as much. He's such a great athlete. I think he would have been a good receiver, probably, at least a solid one, no matter what he did. Like, no one's that fast and quick and strong. But he also really worked on let's say he's running a go down the field. One of the plays that I wrote about in the Chief North newsletter, the defense was basically rotating into a variant of cover 3, to where you've got the corner, he's handling the outside boundary, and you've got one deep safety rotating around. So here's the deal: if you just start sprinting straight ahead, that corner on your side of the field is going to flip his hips and start running with you. If you run your route in a way where you're almost staggering your steps to where you're threatening to cut outside, he's got to keep his hips turned, and he's got to keep leverage to the outside to avoid you getting an easy 15-yard out on him. And Hill does that so well. It's something that, like, I would love to watch Xavier Worthy, if they actually let him run routes like that, study that over and over. How do you threaten deep? The most dangerous thing a deep threat can do is threaten deep to get the easy 15 yards. And then you threaten that shallow to just run right by him. And the way he accelerates, it's freakish. And his ability to, one of the plays that I shared, he just blew right past the corner. It was just unbelievable. Well, the throw came up short because it was still like 55 yards in the air, and he just adjusted to it. He tracks the trajectory of the ball so well. He's an unbelievable player. I was curious if he still looked the same pre-injury. Yeah. This is where Chiefs fans have a unique experience. I genuinely, because I hadn't reviewed his film since he went to Miami. Right. Like, I would watch some of the highlights. He's so good. He's so good. Just unstoppable. And even just on all the things, so for Chiefs fans, all the things that he was doing in Kansas City in 2021, he was doing early 2025. Route running looked the same. Explosiveness looked the same. He's just a freak, man. He had a touchdown against Buffalo where he just turned a great slot corner.
Yeah. You're talking about the, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just turned him inside out. And it demonstrated the problems that he gives teams in terms of playing man coverage. It's not just down the field.
Right.
You can't cover him short one-on-one either because he's too quick, too fast, and he runs through contact too well. He's just tough.
And similar to Kelsey, he does find the open space.
Yeah.
Because the best part, if you go back and rewatch that touchdown against the Bills, Tua's throw is like, I'm exaggerating. Tua's pass was about 8 seconds in the air. That's how long it took to get the ball to this man. But he was so wide open based on his route recognition, or not route recognition, based on what the defense was doing, his recognition of where the space was going to be, and him just absolutely, breaking a guy's ankles in the end zone. I mean, it's stuff that's comical. And Tua thankfully hit a lob pass, and it was in the air for what felt like an hour. Which was so funny.
he would have been open for another 2 or 3 seconds because he had just run away. So that's he's unbelievable. And that freakishness is part of why, because he's doing all that at 31.
Right.
And so I would just say, I know a lot of people are talking about the injury, and I get that. And I think that's a huge reason to be like, wait a minute, awful injury, that kind of stuff. some of these guys are aliens, man. Like they're just not. They're not the same as everyone else. And here's the thing with Tyreek Hill, because we talked about the pros, or we're going to be talking about the pros. So I'll just kind of finish out the list if that works, Josh.
Sure.
Look,
I have a next gen stat to just back up your argument whenever you're ready, Seth.
Well, and I might be going a different direction here. What is the next gen stat?
Oh, okay. Well, let's get to it. So again, we have limited data because he only played 4 games, basically 4 weeks. Now this, I believe, I got to double check it here, but I just wanted to look this up. I believe this would have led the Chiefs. So just think about that. All of last season, Tyreek Hill through 3 weeks accounted for over half of the Dolphins' air yards. Think about that. Now that's including Jalen Waddle, who we all know is a very good receiver too. He had 3 deep receptions of 20 air yards or more, which was almost his total in 2024. So one thing that we saw from a data standpoint is he actually improved early on in 2025 based on having a slight dip in 2024. And the other thing that I thought was interesting too, in terms of, hey, if he's fully healthy, if you can just hopefully recover as well as possible from this knee injury, and you can just drop him into the Chiefs offense, if this is what the scenario that most Chiefs fans are talking about, Tyreek Hill had targets. His average depth of target, again, 3 games, was 15.3 air yards on average. It was the 4th most in the NFL, minimum 10 attempts. And that was an increase from 11.6 air yards in 2024. So his speed actually improved on a down-to-down basis based on the evidence I'm looking at through next-gen stats, where he was averaging almost 15 miles per hour on his routes, which was the 6th fastest at the time. And again, that was at least a minimum of 50 routes through a month of the NFL season. So he actually could have improved had he stayed healthy throughout the course of the season. But all those stats suggest that, like, to your point, Seth, he had not had a drop. He had actually started improving from what he was in 2023 and the little bit of dip he had in 2024.
And again, the idea of the the injury, I don't know. I tend to stay in my lane with that sort of stuff. It's really easy to be like, oh no, he's done. Oh no, he's not done. Look, I remember in 2019 looking at Patrick Mahomes laying on a football field with his kneecap on the side of his leg. And I was like, wow, he's done for the year. And I was just like, and then what was it? 3 weeks later?
Teammates thought the season's over.
Yeah. And so I don't know. You can't rule anything out with these guys, but it is an incredible risk. So that's fair. And that's the big cons thing because of opportunity cost. Here's the thing in terms of the pros. I know what people will have to say about Tyreek Hill working in the same wide receiver room as Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. I guess, I think that's where you have Pat take him aside and be like, you are not to ever hang out with this person outside of the facility. Now, I don't know if that's how they do it.
That's not how they're going to do it.
I will say one thing with Hill is one thing no one should doubt. And I'm just going to talk about football stuff because I think everything else. I actually opened my article about this. Like, I don't feel like telling other people what they should think about other stuff. I just don't. I'm not qualified to do it. I'm so glad that you're muted or your mic isn't working, Josh. Because whatever that was, I bet it was a
We
banger.
didn't hear it, yeah.
Yeah, I was muted. I was going to say that was really weird to read because I've known you for so long.
I know. I'm just like, there's like 2 areas.
I don't want to tell you how to think morally or about societal issues. I thought that was like your code phrase for I've been kidnapped and I'm writing this under duress. So I actually did call Jazz just to see if you were okay.
If I ever start a Substack called, what Seth thinks of the world, then maybe I'll talk about that stuff. Or if I feel like it. I mean, either way. But here's the deal.
Yeah.
One thing no one's questioned about Hill, and that includes Kelsey and Mahomes, who get after it as hard as anyone. Like, Tyreek Hill works as hard as anyone. Like, in that sense, I do think if Worthy and Rice have any kind of doubts as to, how hard they need to work, that's, don't ask me about morality, the pastor. If more pastor, oh man.
Finish your thought!
No.
Masters? Sure.
No, you're Tyreek Hill thought.
He's a guy. He's a guy that
young.
He's a guy that young receivers could look at in terms of what the work ethic looks like. Now, in terms of the rest, I don't know if that's a wonderful example of what you want in your locker room. But in terms of like the actual work and the actual, this is how you weaponize your athletic gifts, and this is how you get open against this. This is how you free your hands. Yeah, that would be really, really handy. And that's just the football side of it. And I don't there's a lot of potential pros from the football side of it. And if you turn on his tape, you're just like, good Lord, because he really is that great at football. It's disgusting, really.
Last thing I'll say on this, Josh, and then we can go to the cons.
Or to break.
I never thought.
Theater of the mind, Seth. Theater of the mind.
Thank you. And I never thought that this would happen. And I talked about it publicly, and I felt very confident at the time. And then it happened, and it sort of allowed me to learn something about not necessarily assuming things, but just like life is tricky. That's why it's so interesting. Things can change all the time. Guys, I never thought, and a lot of people in the organization never thought, that Kareem Hunt was going to put that jersey back on, let alone be reinvigorated, let alone be inspired, let alone give something to the team that could not be adequately measured, right? Based on his story, based on his return, the way he performed off the couch, right? So these are not apples to apples scenarios, but I can never say that this is never going to happen. And that if you are in the camp of, hey, bring Tyreek Hill back, that is a pro for you. That's a huge pro. And I would argue too, based on Andy Reid's career, based on what they have had with with Kareem Hunt the last 2 years, I'm not sure Tyreek Hill could go to another place and be as inspired, be as motivated to have a significant chapter in his career than if he were to return to Kansas City. And that's the interpersonal, the internal motivations. I'm sure he learned a ton of different experiences in Miami, and similar to Kareem Hunt, that may actually distill him to appreciate what he once had in Kansas City. So I don't know how many people have talked about that or found the similarities, but I would never say that this can never happen. And because Kareem has been such a professional and been such a just honestly just nice player that the Chiefs have had, it does bode well that Kareem could lend a possible, a possible scenario for Tyreek to really think about now that he is a legitimate free agent. And he's going to have weeks to consider what's next in his career. But if you want to know why Chris Jones tweeted what he tweeted, a large part of that is tied to this part. The idea that you can come back, you will be welcomed, and you can have a level of success and a level of, appreciation and motivation that you just haven't had, or that you just can't replicate anywhere else because of the history of your own career.
I think to a question you asked earlier, is that a good sign about where the team is at or the state of the roster? Are we going to do all this again in a little while whenever that L'Jarius Sneed news hits? That's what we've grown to expect. And we'll talk about the other side, the cons of a potential Tyreek Hill reunion. We'll discuss that next.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
All right, so I do think there are a variety of relatively obvious concerns and drawbacks, many of which we've expressed already. The health side of it is just a huge unknown. But Seth, one of the big cons that you used in the newsletter is the idea that signing Tyreek Hill might end up precluding the Chiefs from making a significant wide receiver investment elsewhere. If that's at 9, if that's in free agency. I've got some layers on that one myself, but what do you think about, with all of the upside being sold, what would you be left with if the Chiefs' biggest wide receiver addition of this offseason was Tyreek Hill?
You know, the biggest potential downside, if you're talking strictly in football terms, is the injury stuff. So that like has to be the giant, massive warning label that appears on everything you talk about.
If we had the ability, we would not have this conversation for 2 more months, honestly. Like, we're talking about him today because he got cut yesterday.
Yeah.
If we were just talking about when is he going to pick a landing spot, we would have a lot of time, I think.
And so
I got so mad I smacked my microphone. Sorry, everybody. I'm wearing different headphones today, and I was gesturing back at Seth to be like, go ahead, Seth, you take it from here. And the way I subtly did that as a professional was by making a very loud, unpleasant noise for everyone.
Nice.
So I'm going to go in timeout.
Yeah, well, you know, we all have our role models and our mentors that we look up to, and I just lost mine.
And mine's you,
so.
Yeah.
So the thing of it is that, I mean, you factor in age and you look at where the Chiefs are at roster wise right now. One of the things I've written about a few times now is the Chiefs really need to ask themselves if they're at a point where they need to reset the roster to a certain extent.
Yeah.
They have for a long time built with some interchangeable parts around, if we go back to 2018, they've built the roster around Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, and for a while, Tyreek Hill. Right? That was the foundational stuff. Because, I mean, you can't even say it was built around Tyrann Mathieu. You can't say it was built around Justin Reed. At this point, I think you can say it's built around Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith because of what they've chosen to do investment-wise. But they are at a turning point here in that Travis Kelce is still an excellent player, but he's no longer so great that you just got to surround him with competence and they'll drag the roster up. Chris Jones, it's tough because his film was excellent down the stretch last year. And not just like for the last few games, but like really came along like for the vast majority of the season, honestly, after a slower start. But I just don't know if you lose 3% off what he was providing, it can't drag an entire pass rush to respectability. And so they have to reevaluate, okay, we're losing blue chip guys. This was the conversation that we had regarding Trent McDuffie. One reason to be so tough to trade him, he is one of their few other blue chip players. Even if you think he's like a borderline blue chip player, there's still a big difference between that and, like a George Karlaftis, who is decidedly a purple chip, right? Maybe sometimes a red chip, but like a purple chip generally. So here's the thing. You sign Tyreek Hill, you're not going to take a wide receiver at 9 and sign Tyreek Hill. You're not going to sign Tyreek Hill and trade for Brian Thomas Jr. or whatever, right? That means you are pushing off adding blue chip talent to a position that I do think needs it, where you already have guys that are red or purple chips.
Right.
And to me, it would be going in the opposite direction of where the roster itself really needs to go. That's one reason I would rather you trade and give up draft assets for Brian Thomas Jr. He's the name I always mention. I have no idea. It sounds like the Jags are going to have Hunter play primarily cornerback, so I doubt they even trade the guy. It's just an easy name to mention to give you an example of a blue chip.
Well, he wasn't part of this administration, right? This coach general manager combination. He was before them.
Right. So he's an easy example to use as a young guy who's like a blue chip, quote unquote, type player. Because that's what they need. They need to add a blue chip and preferably 2 blue chip players this offseason, which is really, really hard to do, guys. Now you're picking 9th. So maybe. And, Marvin Harrison Jr. is another example people have talked about. Make a call. Who knows? They're revamping things.
Hey, bro, if you trade him, why do we hire you? if I'm the Bidwell family, huh? He actually good at football. Huh? We need more of those guys. But again, different coach, different administration. You could say, hey, we gotta accumulate picks. Let's just go right to the bottom. But that's a possibility, although I think it's very slim.
Yeah, me too. It's just easy to name guys that are just like, blue chip type talent, because that's what the Chiefs need to add. They need to try to find a way to revamp. And so, okay, if that means picking, whether it's Tate, whether it's Lemon, whether it's Tyson, those are kind of the three agreed upon three best receivers in the draft, all of which I think have blue chip level talent. I've watched some snaps for all of them now.
Yep.
Tyson's ceiling is like really high. But like you got to add that, and doing that with Tyreek Hill at 32 is the opposite of that type of movement. And you don't have to build your roster only one way, but I do think that there's an opportunity cost there that is problematic and really kind of goes in the wrong direction of what you're trying to do with the roster. So that to me is one of the biggest things there. That I would Seamus just said AJ Brown ? I mean AJ Brown's 28. It's different trading for him to get a blue.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know, it is weird.
4 years younger than Tyreek Hill.
To get a blue chip, if you want a blue chip X receiver type, that would be a way to go, where you're not just completely selling out the age movement and trying to have blue chip guys that can maybe be around for 2 or 3 years as opposed to just 1 or 2. Because the problem is that with Hill, there's really no scenario where he's around for 2 or 3 years. Let's say everything else goes perfectly. If everything goes perfectly after 1 year, he's going to look to get paid a huge contract one more time.
Well, I know somebody asked about the contract earlier in the comments, and I'm sorry I didn't hit on it sooner, but this is why I waited, because this is part of the Cons discussion. Is Tyreek Hill going to be ready to sign a 1-year deal?
If that's the thing, if his medicals check out, someone's going to offer him more. Like the Bills would be really silly not to, if the medicals look remotely possible, because they need a new person to blame when Josh Allen can't even make it to the Super Bowl.
I thought you were doing that fairly. People have been to Baltimore because Baltimore has you guys are
taking away a lot of my called shot heat that I was
so
saving
that
for
way
the end
fans
of
in
the show.
So that way fans in Baltimore have a new person to blame when Lamar Jackson can't even. Hey, you know what? Bills fans, I'm sorry. I like you for the most part, but a certain segment of you have been so insufferable about Josh Allen that Patriots fans are saying nice things about Patrick Mahomes online. That's weird.
Well, the dark horse team that people should be interested in is, based on where Mike McDaniel just went, could the Los Angeles Chargers give, a sizable contract to Tyreek Hill, where they might be willing to give him more of a, 3-year deal that's legitimately 2 years on the books, and you kind of see how it plays out, because we got to start seeing something with Justin Herbert based on the way his contract has been structured. So, again, if you're the Chiefs, it'd be hard to go above a 1-year deal. But I think the contract is one of the reasons why it's most likely a con at this point versus, hey, just bring him onto the team and let's see if we can recreate that magic.
If your offer here is, hey, money's about the same, would you rather have Tyreek Hill or Romeo Doubs for the next 3 years? I just don't think I can say Romeo Doubs fast enough. And that's obviously with nothing but respect for what Tyreek Hill has done. We're not going to see him play football off of that knee injury until we see him play football there. Like the thought process for me reading that initial con that kind of kicked us off here, Seth, was that if signing Tyreek Hill is the biggest move for your wide receiver room this offseason, to me, that's kind of the end of the argument. Because I just don't think that can be where you're building your offense, and I think running back will be different as well. But there's like a world in which you're starting your season where your top 3 offensive weapons are Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Kareem Hunt. Like we are talking about 68 years of life between your top 2 pass catchers if they're Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce in 2026. If you were coming off of, if we were back a year, if this was right after the Eagles Super Bowl loss, you dragged yourself to the 3rd straight appearance, thinking, all right, well, we can kind of see the gas is running low. Let's put an extra $10 of Tyreek Hill in here, and let's see how much farther we can get on all this. That's one thing. The idea of, hey, bring in Tyreek Hill in what we assume will finally be Travis Kelce's last year, in a year where, at bare minimum, best case scenario, Patrick Mahomes is playing week 1 after a long rehab with an ACL injury, and we'll just see if he's even available by week 1. I just don't think the pieces fit together quite as well as they would have at other times for potential reunion. And you guys mentioned the 3 AFC teams that I've been thinking about. This is, it seems like you guys think that this will happen sooner than I am about to project, but just to like take a half-court, just heat check shot, it feels like he signs with the Ravens in week 10. Like that to me, if this next LCL surgery does reset the timeline a little bit, he'll have a very public rehab. He'll be on Instagram Live running ladders and showing like, hey, the explosion's coming back. And then right around midseason, Rosenhaus is going to start saying, hey, you look at this clip of Tyreek. He looks just like his old self, and he's ready to help your team with a playoff push late in the season. Then he signs the OBJ contract with the Ravens or the Bills or the Chargers and say, hey, I'm going to come play 8 games for you, and then I'm going to hit free agency next year, and I'm going to get one more bite at the apple that way. And maybe that doesn't work. Maybe he plays 8 decent games for the Ravens, and then it's another 1-year deal with Mike McDaniel the year after that. And then it's a 1-year deal with the Rams, just to keep the OBJ kind of mercenary veteran wide receiver thing going. I don't think that is where the Chiefs should be. If the Chiefs can give Tyreek Hill $5 million for a half season of work in 2026, that's fine. But if it's Hill or Romeo Doubs, if they would sign Tyreek Hill and then suddenly drop wide receiver to like 4th or 5th on their draft needs, that to me would be how I would be out on the Tyreek Hill reunion.
Again, and I don't know if you're going to have, again, we don't know, we're speculating what the update will be, let's say the week of the draft, right? Let's say the Monday entering draft week. So again, we don't know.
Which is long after the first couple waves of free agency.
Correct.
All the healthy free agent wide receivers will have all signed big deals. Your team is going to be pretty close to built by that time.
Or have a good indication as to where they're going from a team building, prospect. I guess, if you want to sign Tyreek Hill in the middle of the season and not have to give up, some pick that you would do, obviously, at the trade deadline, then that's fine. And I know there's even been discussions around the league about even moving the trade deadline a little further back just so that you have, again, more data, more games to review.
More teams willing to sell. More teams willing to say we're out of it.
Yeah, and more teams willing to necessarily say, I don't want to give up a 3rd round pick right now because, we're still, we're not sure if we're in and we're not sure if we're out. So that'll be something that'll be talked about, I imagine, around the NFL's owners meetings in April, maybe, if my memory's correct, late March, early April, so somewhere in there. So again, something just to think about. But no, for everything that Tyreek Hill did in Kansas City, that would, it's hard to say we acquired Tyreek Hill and then we acquired 2 other just like receivers who are going to want the time and the development and the ball and like the targets, And again, I think most Chiefs fans from this day forward until proven otherwise should think about the offseason roster build with Travis Kelce included. So until that changes, and I don't think it's going to change, if Travis Kelce is on the team and you're going to have to give him a contract that, fits whatever your cap sheet is for this year and whatever might happen in 2027, then, again, to Seth's point, that's one less pass catcher type to put in the huddle with, projected Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. I still think Tyquan Thornton is an easy decision. So easy. you can make the Tyquan decision right now. Well, I guess not right now because you don't have the cap space. But once you make those moves, all you got to do is go to Indianapolis and say, do you want to still catch the ball for Patrick Mahomes? All right, cool. We'll call you in 2 weeks. So that's an easy decision for them. But signing Tyreek Hill would be your quote-unquote move because as of right now, I anticipate Travis Kelce will be back. And you still got 2 young guys that you need to see make legitimate progress with obviously the new wide receivers coach and Chris O'Shea and Eric Bieniemy's imprint on them in a way that we haven't obviously seen before.
And that to me, Nate, that's kind of where it wraps up for me because it would be totally different if Tyreek Hill had what he had during those first few games in Miami last year. If he was that guy all season and he was a pure cap casualty,
yeah, right,
purely just, hey, we just can't justify all this money for a team that's in the spot that we're in. If we were saying, hey, would you rather have healthy 32-year-old Tyreek Hill or healthy 28-year-old Romeo Doubs, 27 maybe? That's a different conversation where I feel like Seth could really, really take arms up and say, I just watched him be Tyreek Hill in 2025. He's still him. If you said, would you like Romeo Doubs coming off of a season-ending knee explosion from September, I would say not until I know where the medicals are at, right? Like that to me, that's just where it ends up getting.
Or Chad O'Shea. Sorry, not Chris O'Shea. Sorry, Chad O'Shea. Also, Romeo Doubs will be 26 next season. Go ahead, Seth.
Wow. Okay. Overshot.
And man, he feels like he's been in the league a long time.
He has.
I would just say, if you're gonna take a flyer on a receiver who's been around forever, who's coming off an injury, you could take one who's coming off of a less brutal injury and grab Mike Evans. You could make an offer there. You're probably gonna be able to do that a little bit easier, and then it doesn't come with some of the extra stuff.
Hey, Mike. You know that we've been talking. We've been sending you text messages. A couple overtures. Hey, can I buy you a drink? How's it going? Are you guys still together? Oh, that's nice. Okay. Well, look, I'm just, I just want you guys to have success. All right. And, I was just talking to your agent and, I saw that he put it out there that, you still want to play football. And look, if Baker's not treating you right, if Todd isn't giving you the ball,
a long time.
You've been with Todd a long
time.
Time. I'm just saying, we could have did this 2-3 years ago. So yes, Mike, I'll be at Indianapolis next week. I'm sure you'll be there too. Just let me take you out to dinner. Let me give you a vision of what the future could look like with us together, Mike Evans. Come on. We will definitely call you.
I'm afraid about every non-returning or chief going through training camp, presumably without Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. I'm just like, I'm inoculating myself of some training camp storylines, and it's February. Like I'm already dreading what some of those are gonna feel like.
Seth, you didn't.
Any of the other cons that you think?
You didn't seem like you liked my. Hey, you don't think Mike Evans is cute?
I've liked Mike Evans for a long time. I'm not making matches with me. I'm making matches with the Kansas City Chiefs, and it hasn't happened yet. Seth, any other Tyreek Hill specific cons that you don't feel like we've already absolutely smothered at this point? I feel like this has just been the Tyreek Hill episode. It's just gonna be that. So if there's any other receiver or Tyreek Hill stuff, now's the time. We'll talk about some trade hypotheticals in the right tackle position on Thursday.
I think the Chiefs are in an interesting position if they sign Tyquan Thornton, which I think they should. But if they sign Tyquan Thornton, are you going to draft a receiver at 9 too? And then you sign Tyquan, who's openly said he wants a bigger role. Okay, whose role shrinks? Mm-hmm. Someone's gotta. That would be a really, really interesting thing to me. If they signed him back. Mm-hmm. That's just an interesting side note to me, because anyone they sign really should be like, okay, you're going to be that third dude, right? Or that first dude. Like, we want you to be whatever. Or you think maybe still that Rashee Rice can be that dude or whatever. So I don't know. I think, having the conversation with Mike Evans, I would actually object to a little bit less. There are just There's not a lot of paths to adding a blue chip player at wide receiver. And that's where you sometimes have to take risks. I do think that the other stuff that comes up when anyone talks about Tyreek Hill, and should, I get it. That's what I'll add, right? I'm not, I'm not
part of your question about whose role with everything. Where you don't want Rashee Rice to have a significant step back in his role, but it's very hard to be 100% confident that for different reasons, that Rashee Rice and or Xavier Worthy will just start 17 games for you. That's just a bet that right now you wouldn't have a lot of reason to make. And then just to answer your rhetorical question, Hollywood had 74 targets last year and Juju had 45. I got to tell you, man, I do not remember 74 Hollywood Brown targets. I'm very surprised to see him third on the team. That's 4 targets behind Rashee Rice, who obviously missed the first 6 games and last couple games of the season. And then Kelsey led by a mile with 108. So also not like him to have to lead the team in receiving by that many yards, or by that many targets. So maybe
it's not gonna be like this. It's not gonna be like this again, Travis. You just gotta
trust me. At
some
point, it's his fault for believing that, right? Like
it's
at some
not
point,
gonna be like,
man. Like you've been
come
on
on,
that for 8 years, dude.
What's that great line where it's like there's a comedian who's like, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me a third time, shame on you again."
Yeah,
because you're clearly taking advantage of someone who doesn't understand what's happening here.
Hey, come on, Travis. You're not going to run into the receiver and blow out his shoulder again. You're not going to do that. Hey, Travis, he's not suspended right now. Come on. Like, Travis, we're going to call Mike Evans. Come on, man. It's not going to be like last year. It's not going to be like that. Come on back, baby. Teach these guys. Coach these guys up. You know Eric's got them on. Eric's ready to go. Eric's ready to run. Just, hey, it's not going to be like it was last year, man. Hey, you know what? I bet you Patrick's on the – hey, call Patrick again. Can we do that? Yeah, we're going to get Patrick on the phone, man. Come on. It's not going to be like last year.
Seth, it's also – it's not just 2026. None of these dudes are sure things in 2027.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Really none of them. Like, if I had to bet, I would bet that Xavier Worthy, I think he's going to have a better year next year than he had last year. Like, I think we're kind of probably aligned. Like, there's room for him to have a better season. So I'm guessing that Worthy will be around. I have no idea if Rashee Rice is going to be on this team in 2027. Frankly, we've already had some time this offseason. We're like, what about 2026? And everyone else's name is green on the depth chart, except for Jalen Royals, who I think had 3 targets at the end of last season. Like, we have no idea what he's going to be. There is a short-term, like, conglomerate of questions, and then a long-term, really big question, which is, who is Patrick Mahomes' number 1 receiver in 2027? And is that man on the roster right now?
The only person that you can guarantee
the answer is no, because Travis Kelce's not on the roster this second. Sorry, go ahead.
That's so good. The only guarantee is Xavier Worthy, because you have the 5th-year option, and he's got the chance to perhaps make the most growth out of anyone we've named so far.
Yep.
I think it's less than ideal for Rashee Rice, because, man, you're asking for a lot. You're asking for a lot out of Rashee Rice, and his opportunity was really, I believe, last season. And so, if you're a believer in Eric Berry, if you're a believer, I don't know why I said his name. I have to acknowledge, look, accountability, guys.
I was gonna say, did you mean Eric Bieniemy? And you said Eric Berry.
Obviously, I said Eric Bieniemy.
Look, that's what I thought. But hey, just for the record, I
believe
in Eric
Coach.
Berry. I believe in Eric Berry. So you tell me.
Yeah. I always, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if you believe
it happens
in Eric Bieniemy, if you believe in the drill sergeant. Can you imagine what those first few weeks are going to be like in St. Joe? My God, he's going to be in his dorm room at 5 a.m. Man, if you believe in Eric Bieniemy, it really only comes down to one guy: can he get that dude to maximize and be a level of professional that he has not been asked to be at all in his career? And look, that's a hard ask for both guys, because we are humans and we can change, but change takes a lot of dedication. So I would say the odds are not in Rashid's favor for 2027 would be my guess as of right now, projecting moving forward, which makes taking a receiver at 9 really legitimate.
I'm hopeful. I think the problem is I really feel like, man, they really need Ruben Bain. Oh, they really need Carnell Tate. Oh, they could really use Caleb Downs. And they go, they only have one of those opportunities. And maybe not even their choice of those. But
Correct.
I do think we're going to have plenty of time to get ready for that. Oh, by the way, you can go check all this out and get the links for yourself across the KCSN socials. But the draft guide is now available for pre-order. I'm going to go get the authentic URL and I'm going to read it out so you can go straight there without having to go to Kent Swanson's social media pages, a fate that no one should be forced. Even for great content like the draft guide, you shouldn't need to do that. You can go to draftguide.gumroad.com/L/KCSN26.
Yeah, 26.
There's probably a bit.ly for that, and if there's not, I'm probably going to make one right now. You know what? Seth, any final words from you? You go to town. Nate, you can get us out of here, and I'm going to see if I can announce the bit.ly before the show ends. Go. Ready? Break.
You know, when I said that I don't want to tell people what to think, I meant
on the Nate.
only...
Nate, break.
Come on. No, tell me, Seth.
Said what I meant what I said.
No.
How should I think these days?
Well, you know, I my least favorite brand of sports content is telling people what they should think about sports stuff and how they should view that morally. That's what I should have said. I have so much to tell you about how I think the way the universe works. Here, hang on. I got a book around here about that somewhere. Nate, why don't you get us out of here while I find it?
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm sure it starts with a B, sir. I think it starts with a B. Might be two
Speaking
B's.
of starting with the B, if you'd like to pre-order the KCSN draft guide, you can go to bit.ly/SwansonSucks. That's SWANSONSUCKS, bit.ly/SwansonSucks. I'll put it in the chat.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to everyone. I know that it's been a little bit of a tricky time because the Chiefs have not been playing in like the Super Bowl. We are just obviously days away from Indianapolis. I just want to acknowledge that when it comes to the Chiefs, and you have to start thinking about moving forward because you know we've turned the page on 2025. The big issue now is now that I don't know if I'm guaranteed, but like again, I am of the belief that Travis Kelce will be back next season. So, with all that said, with all that coming to us, well, guys, how should I do this? There's one man who really, really, really needs the Chiefs to be good. Yes, guys, it's a long winter. You know that groundhog, you know, said we getting 6 more of these snows on our heads. Okay, guys, he's trying to do his best. He's staying dedicated to the craft, right? Show him your muscles again, Seth. Just show the audience one more time your
Please
bicep.
don't make me do that.
Come on, man, because it's look. I just need you. Yeah, guys. We can't let him go through another winter like this. We can't.
Well, we all know it's a great sign of where a guy's at emotionally when he goes through a sudden obsession with fitness at 40.
He needs the Chiefs to be good again.
Please,
That's
Lord.
bit.ly/SwansonSucks.
Only that.